Hello you guys. In today's episode, I had the pleasure of talking to the lovely human that is at Chubby Wubby on Instagram about self-love, inclusivity in rave clothing, and what it's like hosting a yoga workshop at Lost Lands, among many other things. Let's get into today's episode. Hello you guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Podcast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I'm your host, Emma Kapotes. It is my pleasure to have you guys this week. I am so hyped for this episode. I don't think I've been like this energized in a while, especially on like a Tuesday night. I hope you guys are having an awesome week wherever you're tuning in from and listening from. Oh my god, my foot just had a Charlie horse. Has that ever happened to anyone? Oh my god, sorry. I had to keep recording, but my foot just locked up. That was so fucking weird. Anyway, I'm leaving all of that in this intro, you guys. I've decided to get way more candid and leave in a lot of like the behind the scenes in this podcast because it's real and I just would like to share all of my life with you. So anyway, as I mentioned in the intro today, I have a really exciting interview that I am going to introduce in just a little bit. But of course, I would love to start off with my thank yous as usual. Oh my gosh, I'm leaving all this in, you guys. As per usual, thank you guys so much for spreading the word about the podcast, for tagging me on Instagram, on Twitter. I appreciate it so much, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you do love it, send a link to one of your friends and help get the word out about the podcast. So I really appreciate when you guys do that. And if you're feeling crazy, if you're feeling up for it, throw a couple stars on Apple Podcasts. I always go to call it iTunes. I feel like iTunes is no longer, right? That's a thing. So anyway, you can always rate and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you guys want to join in on the conversation and leave me some comments, you can watch on YouTube and, comment along. I love getting your feedback. I want you guys chiming in on the conversations that we're having. So definitely go feel free to check out the Rave Culture Podcast playlist on my YouTube channel, which is under my name, Emma Kapotes. And you guys can also follow along with us on Instagram and on Twitter. The podcast is at raveculturecast. And then my personal account is again at Emma Kapotes. That's Kapotes. Alrighty, I think that's all I have to plug right now. Some exciting things coming up by the time this is out. EDC Orlando, guys. I am going to be heading out the door tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I want to say. I'm so excited. It's my first EDC Orlando. I've been talking about this for a while. At this point that I'm recording, I don't know any information about my meetups and stuff like that. So again, just check on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. I'm all over that stuff. But I cannot wait to meet you guys in person and really just go like balls to the wall. This is my last festival of the year. I don't have anything booked probably for a while, okay? I have to take a break and let my finances recover from this summer. But I will be vlogging the entire thing. Cannot wait. It's going to be a really good time. So I hope to see you all at EDC Orlando. I just put out a video with all of my outfits and some outfit inspiration. If you guys want to check that out, feel free. What else do we have here? I wanted to get into Listener of the Week. I actually just got a nomination. I think it was yesterday, and I started reading through it and it like made me teary-eyed, so we have to read this now. But if you guys didn't know, every week I want to highlight some of our listeners, either one or a couple people who are a fan of the podcast that, you can either nominate a friend, a family member, somebody who listens, who is making a positive impact in this community or on your life. And we just want to shout them out and spread a little love because I have the best fucking listeners in the entire world. So let's shed some light on you guys. So you can feel free to email me, of course, your nominations. It's raveculturecast@gmail.com. Again, that's raveculturecast@gmail.com, and just title it Listener of the Week. Okay, so this email, let's get into it. It says, "Hey Emma, I won't make you read a novel's worth of my thank yous and love yous, but just know my appreciation for you is there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I was introduced to your YouTube channel and Rave Culture Podcast by my father, who is who I would like to nominate for Listener of the Week." Oh my god, I love this. My dad raised us all on his own. He didn't expect it to be that way, I'm sure, but he always made it look easy. Raising 2 daughters alone as a single man sounds like the scariest thing in the world, but he never made us feel like a burden. He never didn't pick up the phone when we called, and he worked his ass off, so my little sister and I never had to want or need for anything. This is so nice. Okay, I'm gonna cry in the video. When I was 15, he first started getting into EDM, Hardwell, and Ultra music festivals specifically. We would sit down together to watch the live sets every year, and somehow those moments with Dad were just as special and fun as any festival I've been to. It was so cool to bond with him over something so fun. He has had EDC at the top of his bucket list for as long as I can remember. What festy attendant hasn't? Luckily this year my sister turned 18 and my dad decided it was time. So we got to take a family trip to the homeland, and I got the pleasure of showing them the roots and, more importantly, of seeing my dad experience the purest form of joy there is. He was able to feel as prepared as one can for EDC thanks to you and your informational, inspirational videos. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. He sends me an email link to everything you post as if I don't already have post notifications turned on. I truly believe that you've helped him feel more welcomed into the community and more secure, and in turn he has used his already caring nature to care for other ravers. A literal rave dad, lol. I wish I had a video to share with you of his first candy trade because, aw, I love that. But enjoy these photos of us. Thanks, Emma, our fam loves you, and we all hope to meet you one day. I forgot to mention that his name is Hank. So Hank, you are our listener of the week. One, you have incredible daughters, and that, you know, that is a reflection of you and the light that you're bringing into this world. I absolutely love that you guys make this a family affair, because what better thing to share than, you know, music and music festivals, and you get to bond together. Like, I need to take my dad to a rave now. After reading this, that was so sweet. So thank you, I believe it's Kenna, for nominating your dad for listener of the week. I appreciate your support so much. Thank you for sharing links, and you know, you guys for listening every week. I literally would not be doing any of this without you, and emails like this just solidifies in me why this is all so important and why we have the best community in the world. So keep doing what you're doing. I hope you guys get to share a lot of other memories together. These pictures that you sent are awesome. I love this. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys very much. So that is kicking off the episode today on such a high note. You know, you guys, please feel free to send in, you know, your listener of the week nominations. I absolutely love that so much. And upcoming submissions that we're looking for, I'm going to be recording a really big Q&A episode. This is round 2 of Ask Emma Anything. The first one went so well. We got to cover basically like topic juggle. So you guys can send me questions you have, situations you're in, advice you need for anything like related to the topics we cover on the podcast, whether it's like music festivals, you know, rave content, favorite artists, like whatever you guys want to talk about. Again, send me an email. You can put in the subject headline Q&A episode, and I'm gonna collect all those and do one big Ask Emma Anything, and it'll be a really good time. I like those because we get to, you know, cover what you guys want to talk about and get through a bunch of emails, and it's a good time. I really loved the first one. So anyway, looking for those submissions, send them into raveculturecast@gmail.com. and look forward to that in an upcoming episode. Okay, so let's get into what we're going to be chatting about today and what this interview is. So I always want to introduce people to you guys that I think are doing really great things for this community, people that I admire, and yeah, I just want to introduce you to some new faces if you haven't heard of them, and so this was one of them. Her name is @ChubbyWubby on Instagram, but her name is Maria. She was lovely. We have never met in person. I think I found her through, I want to say either like Rolita Couture's Instagram or Vibe with AIDS Instagram. And I started following her and I was like, this girl is so positive. You know, of course we had music festivals and raving in common, but I just really loved her message and her voice. And she's very vulnerable with her posts and genuine, and I just got to like reading all her stuff and following her, and I started commenting and we were talking back and forth, and then I was like, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? I think you have a really great message to share. So that's what today is. So I'm so excited to have her on. The best thing about this podcast that like has surprised me is I start these conversations with like one direction in mind, and then we'll start talking and we'll go off in a completely different direction, which ends up being even better than I planned. So that's like a perfect example of what happened today. So we cover everything from, she's really big on everybody is a good body, you know, body positivity, self-love. She's a yoga instructor, so she's just like a very grounded person, and she's got a great perspective. She's also worked at music festivals, so I thought that would be really interesting to talk to you guys about. She held a yoga workshop at Lost Lands, I think the last 2 years, and she also worked as ground control at EDC Las Vegas, which I did not know about her. So I picked her brain about that because that's so interesting to me. So we talk a little bit about working ground control at EDC, and then we just started like shooting the shit. We were talking about Rave clothing companies and how some of them need to be more inclusive, and also just her journey in this community. She's been raving, I think she said, for about 8 years already. She's 26, and you know, it started off on a little bit of a rocky start, and she took a break and came back to it. So I hope I'm not spoiling things. We gotta just get into the interview here, but it was a really interesting conversation. She's so energetic. I'm so happy that I got to meet her, you know, through this, and I will hopefully be meeting her in person at EDC Orlando. She's gonna be working the Lunatics booth, you guys, so you can go find her there if you're attending the event. But anyway, she is lovely. I'm so excited to share her story with you guys as a fellow raver. And I think that's everything I have to say. So again, you can follow her on Instagram at ChubbyWubby. And please welcome to the podcast, Maria. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. This is so cool.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time out for the call.
Thank you for thinking I'm interesting enough to be a part of this.
Oh my God, no. So welcome to the podcast. I was going to say also, like, what better day for us to be chatting on than like Mental Health Monday. I saw your post earlier today. I did an intro to you before we got on, but I would love it if you just introduce yourself, you know, say where you're from, what you do, throw in some favorite artists if you want, whatever you want to include.
Yeah, I always feel like so much like pressure when it's like, you know, it's like bio time. It's always like, shit, who am I? Like, what am I about? But no, so my name's Maria. I live in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I'm from Brazil. I was born in Brazil. I moved to America when I was 4. I lived in New York for a little bit in my childhood, North Carolina, Florida. And then when I reached like quote unquote adulthood, I moved to Chicago for the first time. Me and my partner moved to Chicago to our first apartment. I was like 2021. And then moved back to Florida and then back to the Midwest. And now I'm in Ohio and I love it. I absolutely adore it here.
That's so awesome. I've never been to Ohio or Chicago. I need to get out more.
It's really cool. Like Columbus is really cool. Cleveland is really cool too. Like the major cities are really nice to hang out in. Everywhere else is pretty much farm and country and stuff, which is nice to drive through.
Right.
But I recently, I've been raving or going to shows since I was 18, and I'm 26 now. So it's been 8 years for me. And it's been a huge, like people have epiphanies and stuff and like awakenings in their life. And for some people it's welding, or for some people it's automotives or sales or whatever, you know, lights your fancy. For me, EDM was like a very huge like development in my life for like self-identity. And it definitely also created a lot of turmoil in my life when I was younger. I didn't know what to do with all of that. I mean, like, for lack of a better word, and no pun intended, but all of that ecstasy, like all of that joy, liberation, and all of these things were just feel good things. So I needed to take a really big step backwards, like following through in my path in this experience. And I wasn't able to really get back into the scene until last year when I went to Lost Lands for the first time to teach yoga, which was so just crazy. When, like, it was amazing. Just like the way that my life like effortlessly conspired for me to have taken that break from something that I knew I loved, so that I could become a better person, a more responsible person, a more focused person. And I learned all of those characteristics through my yoga practice and my training to become a yoga teacher. And when I was able to fuse the two together, it was just so harmonious and serendipitous, and just like it just flowed right into one thing into the other. And Yeah, and that's like that's my life right now. I'm trying to focus on things that keep lighting that fire, because I feel like it's like specifically me, like with depression and anxiety and other inhibitors that kind of just do take away from like my ability to function at my 100% best at all times.
Sure.
Having these practices and knowing what I value and what's important to me, it just really helps me feel more connected and aligned and stuff. So that's kind of my mission. And it's also my key word for 2019 was alignment.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. So I've definitely, I resonate a lot with it. So I've just been focusing on that this year, trying to get as much yoga into festivaling as I could. I went to a really nice chunk of festivals this year for someone who's never been, to jumping into it and going as often as I went this year. And a lot of the opportunities I had were work opportunities where I was able to network and really learn about community and about the networking community and how everyone is such an artist and has so much to offer. Even this experience, like you're so creative and so empowered in your passion for like this scene and this culture and like
thank you.
different people. Thank you. I really appreciate being a part of it.
No, that's so cool. I mean, it's interesting to see like your journey on everything, even in just like, I mean, you're a very young person, so everything that you've already experienced. Would you say like when you had started, when you were like 18 and in your earlier 20s, were you just like very heavily involved in the scene, like going to shows and stuff a lot, and it got to be too much? Okay.
Yeah. I've always been the kind of person where I can never just like do something. Like I have to be at the forefront and like the most involved. The first rave I ever went to was Steve Aoki. It was December 2012 or some shit. And I remember like I had seen pictures of like what people would wear to go to shows and raves and stuff back in the day. And I'm sorry if I can just take it back like one quick step.
Yeah.
The first encounter I ever had with rave culture was from this girl named Alyssa that I went to middle school with. This girl was like 13, 14 years old, coming into school in fluffies, like candy up to her elbows, like those faux dreads in her hair. And I was just like, wow, like you're bold as fuck. And she was the first person to ever trade me a piece of candy, but at the time I didn't understand what that meant. So it wasn't until I went to my first show I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear fishnets for sure, like you gotta have the fishnets. And then I went to like my local novelty shop and I'm like, okay, gotta look for something sexy, the ruffles. Okay, cool,
the uniform.
Underwear, got it. And so like I ended up wearing like a t-shirt and some ruffled fluffy bottoms, and I was like so self-conscious. I was like, no one else is going to be dressed like this. Everyone's going to be staring at me, blah, 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 blah. And when I get there, I was like, yo, there's people in like pasties. Like there's like girls that are wearing way less than me. Like this is absolutely fine. Like I had nothing to be afraid of. And it was such like a good lesson. And it was something that really drew me in and sucked me in, because I was like, if I can feel this comfortable in this environment, and I haven't even walked through the doors yet.
Right.
And I mean, full disclaimer, and I don't know if I can mention this, I'm just being like,
no, you're good.
Like the experience of doing drugs had a really big part in my involvement in the scene. The first time that I ever did ecstasy was with my partner, and it was just an experimental thing in like with my friend, with our mutual friend at his house in his room, just like learning and expanding and like doing something different and doing something new. And then taking that into a show, like it completely blew my mind. At the time, I was currently going through something really, really difficult in my life. Like it was the first big bang of my like development. I had been kicked out of my house, and I was like living on my own with my brother, renting a room. It was very sudden and instantaneous. Like one day I was living at home with my mom, and then 3 days later I had to pay bills and pay rent and figure my shit out. And so without knowing it, I had fallen into a really huge pit of depression. And I had like trigger warning, like I had been suicidal before in my life, and it was something that was constantly on my mind. Like doing the drug of ecstasy, which manipulates the serotonin development in your brain, which causes and creates happiness and euphoria. What it did for me is it made me feel like I was normal. Like, oh, this is what my brain's supposed to feel like. This is when I'm at my best. Like I'm most like I talk the most eloquent differently. I'm more approachable. I'm more attuned to my senses and other people's energies. So I started really abusing that and abusing that with going to shows. I ended up promoting for shows. I was selling tickets, and then I started involving myself in dealing, and it was just like really, really heavy, and it happened really, really fast.
Down the rabbit hole, yeah.
Completely like not even trying to grab onto anything to slow me down. And it lasted about like 4 or 5 months. I did a lot of nasty things to a lot of people that I really, really loved and didn't deserve it. And it was a huge lesson for me. So that was what it took for me to leave that scene. And again, it was another cold turkey thing. Like my partner moved to Chicago to start working in construction with his family. And I think it was a few weeks later, I was like, okay, let's do this. So yeah, that's that story.
No, but it's crazy because I feel like it's like obviously on the outside looking in can be like such a positive thing for people, but I like that you were able to take a situation and then like return to a couple of years later from like a completely different like time in your life and perspective. So I'm glad that it like, turned around for you, but it is, I mean, people can easily get sucked into that side of this. It's like around you all the time, if not more now. So that's definitely something people have to be careful of, especially at such a young age. Like, I mean, like I was in college, so I was 20. Yeah, I must have been, no, I was 21 at the time when I went to like my first rave or whatever show. And like, even then I was crazy in college, but I couldn't imagine like being a teenager. Some kids are going to festivals. So I sound like a grandma right now, but that's why I do this. I'm like, you guys have to be safe about it because I can't stop anyone from doing anything. But I'm like, here's what you should know before you get into it.
Which is why I think the work that I get to do by incorporating yoga and meditation and breath work into the festival experience, like, you know, people are curious, like people all over the world, regardless of what niche they fall into, they're curious about healing and about creating a more harmonious life for themselves. So people, regardless of if they attend or not, or if they make the choice to be present in a yoga class or to create a meditation practice of their own, they're still curious and there's still like that innate yearning for harmony in their lives. So I find that the EDM scene has a lot of, and I don't mean this in any negative connotation, because I definitely fell into that category, but just a lot of like misfits. Like there seems to be a lot of people who come there because they're lost, or they go to festivals or they go to shows to escape reality or to, you know, and that's fine. And if that's like a coping mechanism and that's like, okay, but there's definitely path to destruction there. And the work that I get to offer and that so many other workshop coordinators get to offer at festivals of yoga and healing is so important. And I'm so passionate about it that I am relentlessly applying and emailing festival producers and like suggesting that they get something started and that they do something like this, just to give space to people to come and like decompress, whether it be before the festival, during the festival, or after the festival. A couple of the projects that I worked on this year that I'm really proud of, the largest one being EDC Las Vegas with ground control. That was a really, really huge step into me really becoming like the rave mom that I've always been and putting in.
This. I didn't know you were in ground control. So did you do the whole application process? Like you knew you wanted to go there and do that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
my friend Jaslyn, or Cookie Valentine on Instagram, is the one who put me onto it. Okay. We were talking about how I really, really love festivals, but I can't afford it right now. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. She was like, girl, apply to work for them. So that's what I did. I applied, and we talked the whole process of the way. I ended up meeting a girl through the Facebook group that lived in Columbus who was also working.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, it was really, really crazy. And we ended up driving together from Ohio to Vegas. And like, we literally had never met before in our lives. We hung out one time before. Yeah, it was really cool. It was just like so, I mean, I keep saying the words harmonious, but like, that's just like what's resonating.
Just worked out. Yeah.
It was really, really good. And then, so ground control was that. It was really big for me. I did a lot of big, important work there, as did the other 500 people who were hired to work that event. And on top of that, being able to squeeze in like a little bit of ego and satisfying the fact that I had never been in this place before to see these artists I never saw. I got Glitch Mob like front and center at the rail. Like, I don't know how I managed to do it, but I just excuse me, pardon me, all the way to the front for the only. Yeah, I think I had like 45 minutes in my break, like in between like getting to where I wanted to go and making that back in time.
Geez, I have so many questions about this now. I'm like, this is why I love this, because I have like things I want to hit on. I definitely want to talk about Lost Lands with you, but it's like, I love when this goes off into another area. I had no idea it was going to go, but I mean, I've done EDC Las Vegas like 5 times, and I love the ground control. I think they're absolutely fabulous what they're doing. I just have so many questions about like what the night looks like through your perspective working the festival, because I see crazy shit. Yeah. I can't even imagine.
I'm definitely going to actually, I can do it right now. Like I was going to just like other stuff I've done, but that can wait. Fuck that. So with ground control, I applied to do post show because I thought that it would be just better for my schedule to go in. That way I can maybe come a little bit earlier and enjoy the show. And actually the funny thing about that was my method of thinking, that timeline of thinking was so naive. When I got my welcome letter that was like telling me how much, I would get paid, the hour, I realized that I would be working like 16 hours a day. I was like, I'm going to die. I had a panic attack. My partner had to talk me down from it. It was just, I was so nervous. I was like, I can't believe that I'm not going to be able to do this thing now, because, I talked myself down, and that it lasted like half an hour. I was over it pretty quickly. To do it. It all unfolded really well when I met Kari, which is the girl that I met online. The road trip there was sensational. Arriving there, we had an orientation Thursday night, really late at night. I think it was from like 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. So we would get on golf carts and we would just go around the perimeter of the whole festival. We would break up into our groups. Post team is a very small, intimate group. It's the smallest team of ground control, and they're there from I think 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. Sometimes it runs over because there's a lot of work to do to make sure everyone's getting home safely. So they explained to us how the shifts were going to be broken down. They explained the zones. They asked us to memorize the zones as best as we could, so that when communicating with dispatch, we can accurately tell them where we are, because everyone knows what the zones are. So once you're in the shift, it's like 2 hours patrolling, 2 hours doing something else. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was the first 2 hours was the parade. We would all navigate the parade. Oh, no. So we would like hold lights, and we would like guide them through the crowds, and we would have to like go through a bunch of like wide-eyed people, if you catch my drift, like, totally lost and just like, what's happening? And I'm like, dude, come on. There's like a car coming your way. That was really fun. It was really exciting. It was really chilly, so it was fun to be able to dress for that. They offered you hoodies and zip ups and shorts and stuff. I was so comfortable, but I was still able to like be my rave baby self. I had flower crowns that I worked, face gems. They let you wear candy and interact with people. It's so amazing. The freedom that they give you to really be your authentic self, while being professional. And then I think after the parade, it was like a small break. It was either a small break or we went out to patrol the festival with our partner in the zone. I partnered with a guy named Matt the first night. He was unbelievably amazing. Just holy crap, human. So supportive, so encouraging of me doing a good job. And we saved a life or two that night. And it was really, really powerful part of that. So pretty much like after that, we had a longer break. And then during that time is when I would be able to go see the artists that I wanted to see. I got to see Black Tiger Sex Machine for the first time. Definitely got rail for that. I bumped into someone who's been following me on Tumblr since like 2009.
No way.
As I'm walking out of the back door of the ground control to like go out into the festival, she's literally standing right in front of me, and she's like, Maria? And I'm like, bro.
Mind blown, yeah.
It was just, so we hung out, me, her, and her boyfriend. We hung out. We saw the Martinez brothers. It was my first time really enjoying house music or techno. I'm not sure what that genre is, but I'm doing my best. And then we went over to the Black Tiger Sex Machine stage, and we got rail for that, and it was unbelievable. And then the rest of the shift would be 2 hours patrolling in the festival. Then the festival would end, and we would get on golf carts for our last round. And we would go around the parking lots and make sure that everyone was getting home safe, had a ride, all that good stuff. So that's pretty much the shift for each day. But each separate day, I got to see a different artist that I really like. Glitchbot has been my favorite artist for, I can't even tell you how long, like Tron, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I got to see Illenium. I never saw Illenium before, and I wanted to see about. So that crowd was thick. I made it all the way to the front, and there was a guy in a wheelchair at the rail, And I asked him if he would hold my backpack, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm going to headbang with you. Is that cool? He's like, yeah. And then we just started going nuts. It was adorable. So that was my EDC experience with ground control.
That's so dope. And it's so interesting to talk to somebody who's like worked at the festival too, because then, like you mentioned, now you've transitioned, and you said it was your first time doing Lost Lands, but you were doing as a yoga instructor. So how did that experience come to be, and what was it like being there?
Oh my God. The Lost Lands experience was just literally was placed gently on my lap. And it was just like, you're welcome. Yeah. The yoga studio that I did my 200-hour training with is located in the central Ohio in Columbus.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep.
And once I graduated, I became close with the partners and the people who worked there. And I was able to get a job working at the front desk part-time. And I was working as a server previously, and I just needed a break from that life. So I slowed myself down. I definitely took a huge hit financially. I knew that it was going to be worth it, and I just needed to trust the process and go with the flow. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, I was working at the front desk, and part of my responsibility was to check the emails and kind of respond to people asking about privates and classes and stuff like that. And one of the emails that I got was from this beautiful, amazing young woman named Dana Day Morrison, and she's a licensed massage therapist located in Canada. And she wrote the most beautifully written, eloquently beautiful email, just like talking about what she does and what she's looking for. Mm-hmm. And she was like, we're looking for local yoga teachers who may be interested in working a local music festival, Lost Lands. And my heart, literally, like, when you get like that chill, but it's like warm, and you're like, oh,
this is my moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I kept my cool. I pulled my manager. I was like, hey, this person wants a yoga teacher for Lost Lands. And before I could finish, she was like, oh, who wants to do that? Lost Lands. Oh my God. And I was like, actually, if I could just put that in my pocket really quick. Yeah. So she let me forward the email to myself, and she was like, it's your responsibility. Just, do it on your own. And part of it was that I could take someone with me. And I was thinking about who to take with me at the time. I didn't have any friends that were close in the EDM scene, because I hadn't myself been part of it. So I thought of like one person I worked with who went to a rave once. And then I thought about my friend Molly, who is really close to me. And I was like, you know what? Let me ask Molly if she'd be down to do this. She's a yoga teacher. Maybe she could help me. She could be my assistant. Yeah. So I gave her the opportunity. It took her a minute. She hesitated, but ultimately she said yes. And that was it. We drove, not knowing what to expect. I brought one pair of fishnets with me and a pair of, and like, you know what I mean? Like I washed, I showered the most like tribal, primal, like rushing outside of the tent. It was amazing. It was absolutely beautiful.
Cool. And then nothing but good things about Lost Lands too. Like I definitely have to get there at one point, but it sounds amazing.
God. Definitely amazing. Definitely. The people who hired me that last year ended up enjoying me so much that they hired me to come back this year. But this time I had a larger responsibility where I was responsible for bringing together pretty much half of the workshop that they were offering. They were offering 50 workshops total throughout the weekend, and I had to come up with a team of people who could offer 25 of them, myself included.
And this is for campers, right?
Yeah. That was effortless. I called up all my friends. I'm like, this is what we need. Everyone was able to get the time off. It all flowed really beautifully. Yeah.
So cool. And I mean, out of all of that too, like, so you were working primarily, but then I'm assuming you also got time to go and enjoy the festival. Like, I'm assuming you're a bass head, it sounds like.
Yeah, I am. So pretty much what happened was I would teach a workshop. So they had workshops during the day from like 11 to 4, 11 to 3. And then me and Molly, we actually massaged at the Artist Lounge backstage from 2 to 7. It was all right deal. Like I was super calm.
What was like the reception of the campers and things like that? Because I'm hoping to do camping next year at Electric Forest, but I haven't had that like experience yet where something like that's been offered. Did you find like people would jump at the opportunity, or more people hesitant?
Attendance was absolutely incredible. I was always in awe by how many people were so curious and just invested that time in their healing and their selves. There were so many amazing workshops. I taught yoga, meditation. I did a like survival sit down where it was more of like a conversation between me and my audience about how to stay safe and aware and why these practices are so important to have when you're going hard as fuck. Or sorry.
Yep. No, you're good. No, please, by all means.
That was really fun too. And then there was also acro yoga. There was a romance relationship workshop about how to be the power couple. It was really fun. They had a talent show where the winner would win 2 VIP tickets to Lost Lands 2020. Yeah, it was a really amazing turnout. We had an amazing group of workshop leaders too, just amazing light workers with so much to offer and so much to give to those people. And it was an honor being a part of that. Like I cried at the last workshop I taught. It was a headbanger healing, and it was specific. And me going out there and like going and doing what I do, I feel the aches and pains. Like my back hurts just like yours does. My neck hurts too, like stretch. But I'm also, a person. So I just curated a really kind of like not last minute, but it was more. It wasn't planned. It was just like let's flow with what our body's doing right now. And I had so many people who are so grateful come up to me and just thank me and share their stories with me. And it was just so personal and so intimate and so sacred. I really, really,
I love it.
It just makes my heart swell up. Yeah, it makes my heart swell up. It makes me really happy.
I think it's just I think it's incredible that you got that opportunity. And I just think it's so awesome that people like Excision or, like Insomniac, whoever is putting on the event is sort of like investing back in the people who are attending the events, because who would have thought that you would have ever like gotten all of these experiences from just camping there. And I think it's really, really cool because, it takes a toll on your body and your mind being there for a whole weekend.
Excision and Greg is the festival producer. They did a really great job improving Lost Lands this year from last year.
Oh, good to know. Okay.
Showers were good. There was a little confusion about tokens at some point, but that's expected. Communication gets lost sometimes. They had a lot of young people working in really high responsibility roles, which I thought was incredible just to see how many young people are empowered to bring out so much good and so much light, so much offering in this space. And it was just, the lines were short, it was just a great 15 out of 10. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's good to hear. No, I love knowing that because it's good. It's nice to have like some, it's not newer, but it's on the newer side, like coming up and showing like how it should be done. So that's really awesome to hear. And it sounds like, you're very in tune with like your body and your mind. And I know it sounds like you're sort of like figuring your situation out right now. When did you start being really active on social media and sharing your message? Because you always have these like really well thought out posts and you're very vulnerable. And that's like one thing that I love about your feed when I see it, because, it's a lot of the same. And then I get to read your posts and they always like make me feel better. So when did you start like posting as Chubby Wubby?
So I started social media-ing, I guess. My fascination with it started way back in the MySpace days, with like the coding specifically. That was really me to like the internet world and how I could curate myself or present myself and represent myself, more importantly, on the internet, and kind of staying away from like personas where I dissociate like my true self with my internet self.
Yep.
Granted, I can't post everything I do every day, every thought process I have, although I do post a lot because it's therapeutic for me. Like it feels good to share with people. And also like I reflect on my own posts. Like sometimes that's like a tool that I use for my own healing and my own process of self-discovery. Transitioning from that into my more active stages was when I entered Tumblr. I had a Tumblr. It still is a fatbabe.tumblr.com.
Okay. I love it.
It is what it is, man. I am what I am. So I started there just kind of reblogging and curating, and aesthetic coding came into play. And it was like a really enticing thing for me that kept me coming back and logging back in. And then the connections that I made when people would comment or like something or send me DMs, or when I would turn my anonymous on and people would send me anonymous love. And sometimes people would send me hate. And, it just felt powerful to me. So I started posting a lot of like weed pics, I would take high quality pictures of my glass pieces and glass art, and I would follow stoner And then the stoner bloggers would start to become these like body positive warriors where like I would see people in their underwear songs and stuff. And I'm like, I can do that. So then I started transitioning into like putting my fat body on display the same way that thin women were doing it. And the feedback that I received was so beautiful and so encouraging, and it just filled me up with so much love that I learned to appreciate my body through that way. I mean, there's definitely a connotation where that can be like unhealthy because it's just seeking validation through others. But the way that I received it is that they were just affirming things that I already knew, but I got distracted from because I thought that there was something wrong with my body because I was developing stretch marks from gaining weight, from moving into the Midwest, and like things happening in my life and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Especially from like that transition happened, like Tumblr happened when I moved to Chicago after leaving the Florida rave scene. While I was in the Florida rave scene, I was so heavily using MDMA that it was affecting my appetite and my eating habits. And I was dancing and sweating so much every weekend that I weighed like 125 pounds at some point, which is like the smallest that my body has ever been. And I remember being so self-conscious, even at that size, like not being comfortable in my skin, that when I moved to Chicago and kind of like deaded everything that I was involved in, I gained 70 pounds in a winter. So having my body go through those extremes just made me have like compassion for myself. Like you're in full, dude. Like you can do anything. Like don't be ashamed of what your body reflects or looks like because of what it allows you to do to it. You know, like it's doing its best to keep you sustained, to keep you here, to keep you alive enough to experience more of this exponential growth. So then I started gaining a following really quickly when I started posting more nudes, more sensually activating selfies, writing more personal posts. I write a lot about sex and about love and pain. And there's a lot of posts about heartache and treachery and just really raw, honest things that I felt like if I didn't share it somehow, whether in a journal or in a blog or with a friend or anywhere, I would explode. So there's a lot of like personal, really introspective things on my Tumblr, which is linked on my Instagram through my link tree. I encourage, I don't want to seem like it's like, look at me, know all about me, but to some extent, it kind of is like, I want to be seen and heard. And in turn, I want people to feel my passion of life and experience and wanting to share that. And in turn, give that back to me. Like, tell me about you. And then it just creates more human connection. And I screenshot every reinforcing, re-encouraging thing that people send me that they're like, you helped me. I love you becoming the, I screenshot it and I'm like, I love this. Like, thank you so much for sharing yourself with me and for allowing myself to be vulnerable with you.
Yeah, there's so many incredible people in this community. I was just going to say, like, I think so many people need to hear this, like whatever day they're listening, whatever time, like, just think that's such an important message. And I'm totally on board with like this community needs way more bodies, more inclusion, more voices to represent all of us. So I thank you for doing that. I think it's like really incredible. I was going to say, do you know what one of the posts you did that like hit me the most, which it might be totally random to you, but you wrote, I like wrote it down. You posted it on October 6th. It was one where you said that you had like avoided sitting down at festivals because like our bodies naturally expand and it can't, sometimes it's not the most flattering angle. And I was like, holy shit, because that is something that I like subconsciously, I'm not thinking about it, but like that was me as like a middle schooler and in high school. I like would not sit down at the pool when everybody would go to like the snack stand because I was like, I cannot in a bikini because I'm more flattering when I'm standing up. Or it's like so weird fucking things that like go through your head. But when I saw that post, I was like, I can't even imagine how many people feel like I think about that too. It's like you don't want to sit down because it just doesn't make you look the best, but who gives a fuck? You need to rest your feet and do what's best for your body. So that was just one of the posts that I like really enjoyed that you shared because so many people can relate to what you're saying.
I'm really glad that you shared that with me because sometimes I share stuff and I'm like, Maria, who gives a shit, dude? Like, why are you? Stop it. So that's all.
Definitely hit home.
That you're sharing with me that, you know, my experiences, like solidarity is important.
No, yeah, I didn't even think about it. And I was like, it just weirdly took me back to like my middle school self. And I was like, oh my God, like you literally wrote out what I was thinking when I was younger. And like now as an adult, I'm way more on the side of like the this festival is getting whatever body I'm giving it in 2 weeks when I'm at EDC. But no, I just think I think two things about this community. One, I think it is really inclusive, and I feel like every time I go to a festival, the best thing is just seeing people of all different shapes and sizes and colors, and whether you're gay, straight, like whatever, like everyone, it's very welcoming and accepting. And I think that that's why a lot of people who are more like misfits enjoy attending festivals, because maybe back home, wherever they live, isn't the best situation, and it's way more welcoming at the festival that they're attending. And then at the same time, I was going to get into like a little bit of Rave clothing with you, but I feel like sometimes with certain, I guess, fashion trends or whatever, it's also not the most inclusive. I did a post once where I was like, all of these rave tops that are being made are not made for girls with like larger chests. Yeah. They're made out of like string, and it's like not supportive whatsoever. Yep. So I feel like it can go both ways. And sometimes I get a ton of messages from guys being like, can you cover guy fashion on your channel? Like, you never mention it. And a lot of shops don't really make rave clothing for guys. We just shop on Amazon. I'm like, you know what? I think there's still a ways to go as far as like style and fashion in this community. I feel like
the beauty industry and the Eurocentric standard of beauty, and how people just market to that and they just thrive off of it, which I personally think, and I just mean no disrespect to anybody who falls under that, description, but I think it's boring. Like, oh, look, another rave company that makes sizes small to large. Like, I'm so wow. Wow.
Yep.
Mind blowing. And I just think it's like, it's not that difficult. Like, you have the fabric, you have the manpower to do it. Just like make sizes that are inclusive for everyone. Think about the fact that people do have size G, size F breasts, that people do have, larger butts or flatter butts, or like torsos that are different sizes. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I just think it's irresponsible and it's lazy to not incorporate larger sizes when you're making rave wear.
Totally. 100%.
And it's like, it's underlied fat phobia. And like, it's a lot of, it goes back to some fashion labels who are like, they don't hire fat models or they don't make plus size clothing because they don't want fat people in their clothes because it like looks bad. So yeah, I'm not here for it. Like, if you have a raving company, just please, for the love of God, like, or love of whatever, just be inclusive. Like, just make clothing that everyone can look good in, because everyone wants to look good. Why wouldn't you?
Right. And it's also like, this is something I literally within probably the last year, I would say, have paid more attention to, like, who I'm following on Instagram, because it was outside of the rave clothing community, but it was like a swimsuit brand that I had like loved for years and years. And then I just started paying attention to, like, it was the exact same models all the fucking time on their feed. And I was kind of getting sick of that shit. And I think I left a comment once. I don't know if they deleted it or not, but I was like, it'd be really nice to see this on somebody bigger than like a small or a medium. And then I ended up unfollowing it because I was like, don't follow it, don't support it, don't buy it anymore. Like, that's the decision you need to make at the end of the day. But it's about supporting companies that are doing great things. I know you're a Rolita Rebel, right? From Rolita Couture. Yeah,
I am. I really am. I love Rolita Couture. I was literally just thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I have to talk about Rosa and her work and what she does.
Yeah, she's really, really incredible. I think I just at Imagine, I wore Rolita Couture for the first time. But I love that they have this whole group now. So have you worked with her closely, or have you done anything with her?
Not yet. We did do something. I was able to get a takeover done for Moonrise. Oh, nice. She sent me an outfit, which was just so freaking generous and lovely. And I wore that thing to the ground. Like, I've worn it to so many shows since then. And I was able to do the takeover. I was able to meet other Rolita Rebels at the festival and just say hi to people and show everyone like how I go to a show. And it was my first takeover experience. So I was really excited. Well, it wasn't my first takeover experience. My first takeover experience was with another Instagram page, which I'm no longer affiliated with. But this was like my first real serious one that I was really happy and excited about.
That's so exciting. And I wanted to ask too, like, because that's one thing I love about your feed. I feel like you have some awesome style. So where do you draw inspiration from, or inspires you with, festival fashion? I just love looking sexy. Like, I like to put on whatever makes me look in the mirror and just go, damn, right. I really like bondage. I like to express myself sensually and sexually through my outfits. I also enjoy, above all things, comfort. Freedom Ravewear is a brand that I really enjoy. Their sizes do go up to
X. They could do a little bit better with representation and having more plus size models, but I do talk with Mike a lot about that, and he's very open-minded, and they're very open to doing model calls, and they have expanded that a little bit more. So I'm really proud of the work.
Yeah, they're great.
Oh my God. If on ethics alone, you want to support a company, support Freedom Ravewear. Like they did so much for the Mexican US border crisis. When I confronted them about something that made me uncomfortable, they jumped on an opportunity to heal and to improve themselves versus retaliating, defending themselves.
Right.
Most of my accessories I shamefully get from Amazon. I really want to start supporting small businesses and shift away from the convenience of the one-day shipping right now, mostly just because I don't really have the whole outfit put together in my mind until like the few days before. So I do need that expedited, free one-day shipping. But whenever I can, it's on my mind. It's definitely on my agenda to support small businesses, because I know that like Moon Body Chains, Kinetic.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like Shop Bee Glitz, like Sparkling Unicorns. There's just so many people that I want to support and that I hope to support someday.
There's a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I wanted to say, just to wrap up, what's up next for you and what are you excited about? And if you have any shows coming up, let me know too.
Yeah, I actually heard, I think you were saying that you're going to EDC Orlando.
Yay. Yes.
Yeah, the big event is EDC Orlando. I'm going to be working there with Luna. Yeah, that's another brand that I really love to support. They're the glitter gems company, and they're women, and they have a lot of support from amazing people and amazing humans that I'm so happy to be able to work with. After that, I would love to go to Hijinks, but it might not be in the cards for me. The next big event that I'm going to be doing is Forbidden Kingdom in February, where the Pepe Vargas has hired me to teach yoga and run a workshop program there for healing and stuff like that. But that hasn't been confirmed yet, so just give it it's definitely in the work. Awesome.
Well, people can definitely go follow you and support you, and I will definitely stop by Lunatics at EDC Orlando. I'm so excited. Have you done this festival before? Is this first time?
EDC Orlando's first time.
First time. Okay, same here. I just can't wait. It doesn't hit me until I'm on the plane going there. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't mentally prepare for it yet. But
I'm so excited to be part of that. And I'm really excited to you. I hope you do stop by the booth. It'll be awesome to do your hair or put some glitter on you.
Oh my God, I would love that. That would be so fun. I know. This is the first festival, just to talk about like mental health and going outside of your comfort zone and everything, where I'm staying with some friends in a hotel, and then other than that, I just want to meet up with people that I've met online. I'm going with like my Lunchbox fam. I'm going to do some meetups and really just like totally explore and see what EDC has to offer. And I'm just like, I'm excited about the possibilities, honestly. So I feel like it'll be a really good festival.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. It's going to be a big one for a lot of people. I'm so excited to be a part of that like collective energy.
Yeah, that's so fun. Well, I cannot wait to meet you. Before we go, plug all your socials. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah. So I'm mainly on Instagram, ChubbyWubby, ChubbyWubby. And you can follow me on there. I have a link tree to my Tumblr in my bio. And I'm currently working on becoming more active with making Instagram channels and episodes about yoga and meditation and just some fun artsy things. You can follow my art on there as well and just see what I'm up to and get to know me as I get to know you. So that's it.
Thanks so much. It was lovely meeting you and lovely talking to you. And I can't wait to meet up at EDC.
Oh, it was lovely to talk to you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Alrighty. Another huge thank you to Maria for coming on the podcast today, you guys. I enjoyed that conversation so much. Again, I didn't think that I would be comfortable interviewing people because although it might seem like I'm outgoing, I'm definitely like an introverted person. And somehow once I start these phone calls and once I start talking to people who come on the podcast, I just, we share these things in common and our passions are similar and it just starts taking off. And Maria just like totally, we just were jamming. We were jamming and we hit it off and I loved her energy. She was really incredible to talk to. I feel like we could have gone on and on forever, but hopefully I'll be meeting her in person at EDC Orlando. And I loved her story and I think that was really vulnerable and honest, and I hope you guys enjoyed the message that came out of today's podcast because I knew she was going to be inspirational and she was going to be positive, but I think we hit on some really important things today that I've wanted to talk about. So I'm so glad that we got to have that conversation and I got to share it with you guys. Again, plugging her stuff at Chubby Wubby on Instagram. That's CHUBBIWUBBI. So go say hello to her. You can check out her Tumblr page. And again, yeah, go check her out. She'll be at the Lunatics booth at EDC Orlando, so you guys can say hello to her in person. Anyway, that was really great. I hope you guys learned something new. And if any of you are going to be attending like any camping festivals, we're probably out of that season now at this point, but like she said, she has a festival that's potentially coming up in February. Even if she's not there, you know, definitely go check out these wellness workshops. I feel like festivals are really starting to step up not only like the production, but the things that they're offering to campers and people who are going to be, you know, staying at the festival for a prolonged amount of time. So definitely like go out of your comfort zone, maybe try something new, maybe do one of the activities that the festival you're attending offers, because you never know who you're going to meet, for one, and two, it might open you up to some new interests or new hobbies, and it could be really good for your body and your soul. So we love that for us. What do I need to say here to close out the episode, you guys? You know the drill with EDC Orlando. I hope to see you guys this weekend. Again, I would absolutely love it if you would screenshot and post your screen, you know, tag us at raveculturecast and at Emma Kapotes in your posts. Let people know what you're listening to. Send a link to a friend today. I grow this podcast through you guys, so again, thank you for shouting about it and making some noise. I have some exciting episodes coming up. I'm really pumped. I'm getting a little bit ahead here. I'm like rocking and rolling, which is so exciting because I know after EDC Orlando, I'm going to be fucking dead. So that's what always happens. But you guys can expect to see, you know, daily vlogs coming up from EDC. And what else do I have? I have some other cool content. You guys know the podcast is up every Wednesday. Oh, of course, EDM news. Hello. I'm forgetting what I'm doing, you guys. Let's get into some EDM news. I just had a couple things. The first one being Escape Halloween. So I know a lot of people attended that festival this weekend. It looked so fun. Again, you guys know I love Halloween, so I'm so jealous that I didn't get to go, but the stages were improved this year. I think the overall experience, they said, had been improved and they were like adding on to it, so it looked like a really good time. But they announced the dates for next year. Hold on, I'm trying to find this article. Okay, so it actually is going to be on Halloween next year, which is really cool. So it's Friday, October 30th and Saturday the 31st. I'm pretty sure you could like already sign up for tickets, and I think there was a payment plan that was very generous. It like starts in January and then goes all the way through, so it'll be like lower payments, which is cool. But one thing I saw on EDM Maniac's Instagram was that it was called Insomniac's largest Southern California festival in history. The festival announced 135,000 attendees over 2 days at Escape, which is bananas. So crazy. Insomniac is for sure doing something right, and I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. So that's really, really cool. One other thing I wanted to mention, so I saw this on Twitter, but Excision has voting happening for both Base Canyon and Lost Lands 2020. So I'll try and include the link on YouTube, but basically you can vote on artists that you want to see play at the festival, which is really great because it gives the opportunity for some artists who may not have played before, or maybe are overlooked, or they're a little underrated. I think it was Nitty Gritty. I love him. I think he's hysterical. If you guys don't follow him on social media, please do. But I don't think he's played either festival, and he was campaigning on Twitter to get his name on there. So definitely check him out. He also has a TikTok that's really funny. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I'm now on TikTok, you guys. I know it's like a younger generation thing, but side note, I'm using it to upload like all my extra videos and footage that I take at festivals, because I take so many and I don't post everything on Instagram, and not everything makes the vlogs. So I'm just like dumping all of my videos on TikTok slowly but surely, and it's really a good time. So if you have TikTok, feel free to follow me over there as well. But anyway, back to this. So yeah, go fill out the 2020 artist survey if you guys are like into bass music and you're interested in that. You know, Oh, what did he say? He tweeted, I'm looking at one of his tweets. Oh, somebody tweeted at him, at raving_nerd tweeted, so at Excision, I was filling out the 2020 artist survey and was wondering why you put yourself as an option on there. I know every Los Angeles Base Canyon so far has had at least one signature Excision set. Is there a chance that you could change in future events? And Excision replied, I believe in equal rights for everyone, myself included. If others get more votes than I do, then they deserve to play above me. What a stand-up gentleman, honestly. He's great. I want to meet him one day. I think that's fucking awesome. So go vote, you guys. Alrighty, and the last thing I have for you, Odessa fans out there, they posted on Instagram basically that they're back in the studio. So hopefully we can expect some new music from them in the next 2 years, something around then, maybe faster than that, I don't know. But a lot of people were really excited. So I had to include that. I gotta shout them out. My best friend is obsessed with Odessa. So I had to throw that in there. I think that's everything I've got. I hope you all had an awesome Halloween weekend. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was a pirate. Me and Brian were dressed up as pirates. I'm sure we had a really good time. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm in the future tense. So I'm sure we had fun. You guys can go look at our pictures on Instagram. And anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome week. Get after it today. It's hump day or whenever you're listening. Thank you again so much for checking this out. Go show Chubby Wubby some love. Send me your nominations for Listener of the Week and submissions for the Q&A episode. Share a link with a friend today, and I will be back next Wednesday with a new episode for you guys. Have an awesome week. Peace.